The winner is Julie Andrews. Thank you very much for this lovely honor. She won Oscars and charmed the world. But behind Julie Andrews's perfect smile was a secret buried deep for 60 years. A forbidden love affair that began on a movie set in 1965. She was married. He was too. Their chemistry wasn't just the cameras. It was real, raw, and dangerously electric. As whispers turned into scandal and secret hotel meetings became headlines, studio bosses issued warnings. Careers and reputations were on the line. Julie chose silence until now. The beloved style of The Sound of Music finally opens up about the romance that nearly destroyed her. Julie Andrews was born in 1935 in the quiet English town of Walton-on-Sea. But even her earliest days were far from simple. Her mother, Barbara, had an affair with a close family friend, and Julie was the result. For years, she believed another man was a father. That truth didn't reach her until age 15, and the world wouldn't know until decades later when she revealed it in her memoir. Then came war and chaos. As bombs fell on London, Julie's childhood unraveled. Her parents separated and remarried, and she bounced between homes, sometimes with a real father. Other times with a mother and new stepfather, Ted Andrews. Life under Ted's roof was dark. He drank and worse, he crossed terrifying lines. Julie had to put a lock on her bedroom door just to feel safe. The family lived in poverty, scraping by in wartime London. She would later call those years the darkest of her life. But in the shadows, something shone her voice. Ironically, it was Ted who noticed at first. Despite everything, he arranged for her to take singing lessons. That's when Julie met her voice Madame Lillian Stiles Allen, a legendary vocal coach who became her guiding light. Julie called her a third mother. Madame recognized greatness. Julie had range, clarity, and something else. Magic. Julie didn't think her voice was special. She joked it was so high only dogs could hear it. But others knew better. She trained relentlessly, juggling school and music lessons. Few children worked that hard, but Julie knew what was at stake. Her first real gigs were with her family. At just 10 years old, she stood on a beer crate to reach the mic, singing alongside her mother and stepfather. Soon, she was performing for soldiers, riding trains and military camps, even dozing off in luggage racks. She shared the road with another young performer, McInnes Clark. By age 12, everything changed when her stepfather introduced her to a top theater producer. One audition later, Julie was booked at the London Hippodrome. She sang a difficult French opera piece and brought the house down. The audience erupted. That night turned into a year-long gig where she even starred in a skit with balloon comic Woolly Bogue. Julie would run on stage, claim she could sing, and then blow the crowd away. At 13, she became the youngest solo performer ever at the Royal Variety Show, singing for the King and Queen of England, and she was just getting started. Radio, television, children's plays. Julie's voice became a staple across Britain. She took on roles like Jack and Jack and the Beanstalk and Cinderella. By her teens, she already had fans. Her film debut came in a small Italian cartoon, The Singing Princess. A quiet first step on a huge journey. Then came the moment that changed everything. On September 30, 1954, a 19-year-old Julie Andrews stepped onto a Broadway stage and never looked back. She played Polly Brown and the Boyfriend, her first major role in the U.S. British actress Pat Quood had recommended her, a gift Julie never forgot. Taking the job was terrifying. She had to leave her family behind. She was a breadwinner, and now she was flying across the world with no guarantee she'd succeed. Her father urged her to go. That leap of faith paid off. Audiences were mesmerized. Critics raved. Julie became Broadway's newest darling. Her voice sparkled. Her comedic timing was flawless. The show ran for 485 performances. And Julie earned the prestigious Theatre World Award. But the biggest break was yet to come. In the audience, one night set two Broadway powerhouses, Alan J. Lerner and Frederick Loewy. They were casting My Fair Lady. And after seeing Julie Andrews perform, they knew instantly they had found their Eliza Doolittle. By March 1956, at just 20 years old, Julie was a Broadway star. The role was iconic, transforming her from a Cockney flower girl to a refined lady, allowing her to flex every acting and vocal muscle she had. Audiences couldn't get enough. The show was a smash hit. Its cast recording topped the charts, and New York adored her. London would too. In 1958, Julie took My Fair Lady to the West End and conquered it again. Her 4-octave voice crossed oceans. When she returned to Broadway in 1960, it was as Queen Gwi and Camelot starring opposite Richard Burton. That's when things got complicated. Burton was magnetic, and Julie felt the pull. He flirted, and when he finally made a move, Julie shut him down with a curse word, later laughing that Mary Poppins had finally lost a temper. But on stage, their chemistry was undeniable. The show struggled at first until a televised performance on The Ed Sullivan Show revived it. Audiences surged and the show thrived for 3 years. Burton won a Tony. Julie earned another nomination, and one man was watching closely: Walt Disney. After seeing Julie in Camelot, Disney knew she was as Mary Poppins. But before that dream came true, heartbreak struck. Warner Brothers was adapting My Fair Lady for film. And naturally, everyone assumed Julie would star. She had made the role famous. But the studio cast Audrey Hepburn instead. It stung. Hepburn couldn't sing, and her vocals had to be dubbed. Julie, he hurt and furious later, said she would have spent in their eye if they'd asked her to dub Heap's lines. But losing that role turned out to be a blessing. Disney made his move, offering her Mary Poppins. Jay hesitated. She was pregnant. But Walt didn't blink. "That's okay," he said, "we'll wait." Mary Poppins believed in her. He even rented a house in Los Angeles for her family. When Mary Poppins premiered in 1964, no one expected the woman from a small English town to become a global sensation. Julie was 29, a first-time film actress. And from the moment she floated onto the screen with umbrella in hand, the world was spellbound. Mary Poppins didn't just charm. It became a cultural phenomenon, grossing over $44 million in the US and another $13 million worldwide. The next year, Mary Poppins and My Fair Lady faced off at the Oscars. The underdog won. Julie Andrews took home Best Actress. Audrey Hepburn wasn't even nominated. During her speech, Julie slightly thanked Jack Warner, the executive who had passed her over a classy mic drop moment. Even the box office told a story. Mary Poppins out her and My Fair Lady despite its smaller budget. Overnight, Hollywood realized Julie Andrews wasn't just a star. She was a force. Then came 1965 and The Sound of Music hit theaters. It didn't just succeed, it shattered records, earning $286 million worldwide. Julie's role as Maria von Trapp, the spirited nun-turned governess, captured hearts across the globe. That iconic opening scene where she twirls on an Austrian mountaintop became cinematic legend, but behind the scenes it was chaos. A helicopter filmed the shot and its downdraft kept knocking her over. Julie later joked she spent more time flattened in the grass than singing. Still, the film won 5 Oscars, including Best Picture. Julie was now breaking free, officially Hollywood royalty. But fame came with a cost. After playing 2 magical nanny roles back-to-back, she was being TYP cast. Could she be more than the singing sweetheart? Julie wanted to break free. Later that same year, she made a bold move with the Americanization of Emily, a gritty World War II drama. No songs, no whimsical characters, just raw emotion. Starring opposite James Gunn as a British widow. She proved her dramatic range and critics took notice. Next came Suspense. She signed on with Alfred Hitchcock for Torn Curtain, a Cold War thriller release in 1966 alongside Paul Newman. The film had star power, but Hitchcock wasn't convinced. He felt the leads were too polished for the gritty realism he envisioned. Critics were split, but audiences showed up. On a $3 million budget, the movie earned over $13 million. Not a runaway hit, but further proved Julie Andrews was more than just a musical icon. She was a true artist capable of transforming herself and the screen. But far from a flop, Julie Andrews' momentum kept going. That same year, she starred in Hawaii, a sweeping epic based on James Michener's best-selling novel. It was one of the biggest productions of the decade, $15 million, played by rain, tidal waves, and endless delays. Yet, the chaos paid off. The film became the highest-grossing movie of the year. Julie played a headstrong woman following her missionary husband to the islands, delivering a powerful performance. But unexpectedly, the spotlight shifted. A complete unknown, Jocelyn Lagarde stole every scene as a Hawaiian queen and even won a Golden Globe. By the end of the 1960s, the sparkle had started to dim. In 1968, Julie starred in Star, a biopic about stage legend Gertrude Lawrence, directed by the Sound of Music's Rubber Wise. The budget was massive, expectations even higher, but the film crashed. Critics the Julie Andrews Hour pounced. Variety called her performance overdone. It became one of the decade's most expensive failures. Then came Darling Lily in 1970, directed by her husband, Blake Edwards. This was supposed to be her reinvention. The squeaky clean image gone. Julie swore on screen. She performed a striptease. But instead of thrilling audiences, it left them confused. The $25 million production tanked. Another bomb. Suddenly, Hollywood no longer saw her as a leading lady. And yet, she still earned Golden Globe nominations for both Star and Darling Lily. The respect remained, but the momentum didn't. Desperate for a lifeline, Julie turned to television. In 1972, she launched the Julie Andrews Hour, a musical variety show full of comedy, big-name guests, and charm. ABC believed in her so much they signed a 5-year deal. Critics praise her wit, her grace, her versatility, but the ratings didn't follow. Against stiff competition, the show struggled. After one season, ABC pulled the plug. Then came a twist no one saw coming. Just a month after cancellation, the Julie Andrews Hour cleaned up at the Emmys. 7 wins from 10 nominations. It was a bittersweet victory, a brilliant show the audience never showed up for. ABC offered her a few specials, but the writing was on the wall. TV wasn't a next stage either. So, she did something no one expected. She hit the nightclub circuit. The woman best known for twirling through the Alps with children now stood in smoky lounges, singing jazz, and delivering razor-sharp one-liners. It was a daring transformation. She poked fun at herself, roasted Hollywood, and shattered the good girl image. Critics her comeback were charmed. Audiences were captivated. This wasn't the Julie Andrews they thought they knew. This was a bold, funny, fearless version of her. And then in 1979, she made her big screen comeback with a bang. She starred in 10, a sleek, modern romantic comedy directed by Blake Edwards. The film was cheeky, sexy, and earned over $74 million. She followed it with Sob in 1981, a biting satire in which Julie shocked everyone by appearing topless. It wasn't just for headlines. It was symbolic, a public burning of a former image. But her true transformation came with Victor O Victoria in 1982. Julie played a woman pretending to be a man pretending to be a woman. The performance was daring, clever, and deeply human. The film explored gender identity and survival with depth and humor, and Julie nailed every beat. It earned $28 million, a Golden Globe, and another Oscar nomination. Suddenly, Julie Andrews wasn't just Maria or Mary Poppins. She was a chameleon, a powerhouse, a survivor. Yet, while her career evolved, her personal life unraveled in its own dramatic arc. Julie had married set designer Tony Walton in 1959. A childhood friend turned soulmate who had written her letters after seeing her perform on stage. Their daughter Emma was born in 1962, but balancing Broadway, motherhood, and marriage soon became a high-wire act. Julie often felt torn between her child and her career, her husband and her daughter. She buried the struggle, smiled through the pain, but the strain became too much. They divorced in 1969. Heartbroken, Julie turned to therapy. It was director Mike Nichols who urged her to go. She listened and it changed her Blake Edwards life. Therapy helped Julie Andrews sift through what she called her mental clutter. It brought her clarity, strength, and eventually the desire to speak publicly about mental health in hopes of helping others find similar healing. And then, in a twist fit for Hollywood, she ran into Blake Edwards outside a therapist's office. Two hearts, both bruised, collided at exactly the right moment. Despite a 13-year age gap, something clicked. They understood each other's wounds. They married later that year and built a blended family, raising his children and adopting 2 daughters from Vietnam, Amy and Joanna. It wasn't just a home they shared. It was a vision. Together they made 7 films. From Darling Lily to Victor Victoria. Some flopped, some soared, but success or failure never touched their love. Julie once said Blake Sharp would balance the seriousness. Their marriage lasted 41 years until his death in 2010. She still calls it a true love story. But long before Blake, there was a quieter, more complicated chapter. In 1960, while starring in Camelot with Richard Burton, their on-stage chemistry was electric, and off-stage it grew tense. Her marriage to Tony Walton was already fraying. Burton's charm and intensity stirred something in her. She later admitted to feeling deeply alone at the time, and being beside Burton each night lit a spark, but she never acted on it. She chose boundaries over temptation, perhaps saving herself from deeper heartache. Then came The Sound of Music, where she played Maria, and The Sound of Music Christopher Plummer played the captain. Their connection was instant. Behind the scenes, there was a quiet, unspoken crush. Both were struggling in their personal lives. Both felt the pull. Plummer once joked they should have had a smashing affair, but life and timing got in the way. Instead, something even more enduring was born, a lifelong friendship. Julie said they were never lovers, and perhaps that's why the bond ended. They respected and lifted each other. She credited Plummer with grounding The Sound of Music, keeping it from becoming too sweet. When he died in 2021, she mourned not just a co-star, but a true friend. As the years passed, so did the roles and the risks. In 1986, That's Life. She played a singer facing a possible cancer diagnosis, just as doctors found a lesion on her own throat. That same year, she starred in DFO1 as a violinist battling multiple sclerosis. It was a raw, demanding role played opposite Liam Neeson, whose intensity only deepened the film's emotion. Both performances earned her Golden Globe nominations, and it was clear she had finally broken free of the musical label. In the 1990s, she returned to TV with the short-lived sitcom Julie, 1992, which lasted just 7 episodes, but she found success elsewhere. Her 1987 holiday special, The Sound of Christmas, won 5 Emmys. And in 1989, she reunited with Carol Bonet for Julie and Carol Together Again. In 1993, she returned to the stage with Putting It Together, a Stephen Sondheim review. Though it ran for just 59 performances, it marked a quiet but meaningful comeback. Then came Broadway's Victoria Victoria, where she reprised her iconic role of Victoria Grant. The show ran for over 700 performances. Though she was nominated for a Tony, she declined the honor, believing the entire cast deserved recognition. Julie made a grand return to Disney in The Princess Diaries 2001, which earned $165 million globally. She voiced Queen Lillian in Shrek 24, reprised a role in its sequels, and narrated Enchanted 2007, a box office hit grossing over $340 million. Into Fairy 2010, she showcased her comedic side. And in 2016, she directed a record-breaking 60th anniversary production of My Fair Lady at the Sydney Opera House. The following year, she launched Julie's Green Room on Netflix, which earned 2 Emmy nominations. But perhaps the greatest heartbreak came in 1997. A surgery meant to fix a lesion on her vocal cords left her unable to sing. It was a devastating blow. Still, Julie fought back. She became a vocal advocate for voice restoration research and turned to writing, co-authoring more than 30 children's books with her daughter, Emma. Though she could no longer sing, Julie Andrews' legacy endures in her iconic roles, her courageous reinvention, and a magical lasting influence on film and memory.